welcome to another episode of The Walk. My name's Gareth and today I'm back in Derbyshire and I'm back on the Cromford Canal. Well, sort of. I'm here to explore the Lea Wood Arm of the Cromford Canal, which was built in 1802 by Peter Nightingale. Now, Peter Nightingale is the great uncle of the very famous Florence Nightingale. Now, he built this arm to access his mills down in Lea Bridge, which sounds like a great idea, but basically all it led to was an awful lot of squabbling. Okay, let's get Google Maps up, usual drill. This is where I'm going to start the walk. This is where the Cromford Canal crosses over the Midland Railway. Now I'm going to follow it all the way up until I get to something called Aqueduct Cottage. Now there, you'll just see, that's where the arm comes off the Cromford Canal. I'm going to follow that all the way down into Lea Bridge to see what remains I can find. So there's the railway. Now that goes basically from Nottingham up through Derby up into Matlock, and as you can see, it's just a single track, but this was actually a main line from London all the way up to Manchester through the Peak District, and this is the Cromford Canal. Now this was built in 1794, the canal. The railway came in 1849, and that in itself is quite an interesting story because this canal was built, as I say, in 1794, and it connected the coalfields of Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire with originally Cromford and the mills, the Arkwright mills, but then eventually, by using the Cromford and High Peak Railway, up with the textile industry up in the northwest of England. But as you can see, it's not, you know, navigatable these days, although you can if you're a duck, then it's fine. Now the railways and the canals, strange relationship, because basically they share the same space. If you look, most of the time you'll find a canal, you'll find a railway right next to it, because they would share essentially the same kind of contours through valleys and stuff like that. But when the railways came along, because they were quicker and cheaper and they could carry more in one go, they basically killed the canals. Video killed the radio star is essentially the analogy. Now the Cromford Canal were pretty wise, because when that railway came along in 1849, the Cromford Canal saw the iceberg. So rather than trying to compete with it, they just sold up. The railway company bought it up and then in the end actually subsidised it for quite a long time. Now eventually, and I've spoke about this in many videos, so I'll put some links to them below. The Cromford Canal, okay, let's have a look on Google Maps. Here you go. So this is Cromford Wharf, which is just up from where I am, and if you follow that on Google Maps all the way up to Langley Mill, that's the length of the Cromford Canal. Now unfortunately, right in the middle of that was something called Butterley Tunnel, and in 1900 that collapsed. Now it had collapsed a couple of times before, but they'd fixed it. This 1900 collapse was a no-go, so it severed the canal in half, and only two collieries, Hartsheet and Pentridge Colliery, survived on this side of the canal. So this bit survived for a bit, the other end was long gone. And it survived up until 1944. At that point it was done, and unfortunately it's basically become overgrown ever since, with exception of the bit we're about to come to, where an amazing group of individuals called the Friends of the Cromford Canal have done an unbelievable job in restoring it. If you just look up there, you can see Crouch Stand. You should be able to see that in the distance there. It's a beautiful part of the world. I come walking here all the time, folks. I never get bored of it. Now there's some sort of allotment gardens up there. Now they're connected to something called Aqueduct Cottage. Now that was originally owned by Peter Nightingale, and it basically housed the workers for that Lea Wood Arm, which we're about to come to. Now when I first moved up here, well, over a decade now ago, it was already derelict, but they've done an amazing job of restoring it, and in a second we'll come to it and you'll be able to see just oh, it's amazing. I've so much respect for people that dedicate their own time, you know, because it's all volunteers, to restore history. Mate, it's amazing. So there we go. There's Aqueduct Cottage. Now there are plenty of old photos of when this was operational, where you can see, you know, some of the boats and stuff moored up there with the people that are working there. But as I say, it was massively derelict when I first moved up here, but I mean, I'm talking like it had trees growing out of it. Now I'm going to walk on down the Cromford Canal. So the Lea Wood Arm, or the Nightingale Branch, is going off there. So what you're probably thinking is, what you're doing. Well, there's a reason for it. Now, I said in the intro there was lots of squabbling. Right, I'll explain why. So down there we've got the River Derwent moving very, very quickly. That's an aqueduct, hence the name Aqueduct Cottage, and it actually collapsed halfway through construction, which was a bit of a nightmare. Now that is the Leewood pump house. Now the reason that's relevant in terms of the squabbling story is because when Peter Nightingale built that branch down into Lea Bridge, he basically took too much water. And a canal without water, well, it's not a canal, is it? It's a trench. And so in the end, to solve that problem, they built this. Now this amazing pump house was built in Elsecar, at the ironworks in Elsecar, which me and Phil explored once before. And in fact, I think it was the last thing they ever built there before they knocked it all down. But this was built to pump water out of the River Derwent and up into the Cromford Canal to try and provide it with as much water as it needed, having lost a load of it down that branch. So there you go, there's the incredible pump house. Now they do open that and you can go in it when it's functioning, and it's amazing, and I've watched it, and this is where the water comes out. Now guess how much water comes out of that in 24 hours when it's full going for it? 39,000 tons. Oh, just missed a train. I can hear it though. Mind you, I say that, I've got a massive gut of heavy lorries over there on the A6, so that might have just been a truck. Okay, I'll come back over the aqueduct now and we'll go down this Leewood branch. So, as I say, it was opened in 1802 by Peter Nightingale, and it was built to access his mills. Now, because of this whole wrangling and arguing over the loss of water, they ended up basically cutting it in half. Now originally it went all the way down into Lea Bridge, and it served his mills, which are now the Smedley mills. Now you may have heard of John Smedley. Incredible story with him, by the way. Now they currently claim to be the oldest still functioning factory on the planet. Now I don't know how many other people claim that, but they claim it, and it might well be true. So I did a video on that, and I did a video on John Smedley before, which is amazing in terms of his, saying my video is amazing, his story's amazing. So again, I'll put a link in the description to that. So there you go, there's a bit of footage of that amazing cottage. I wanted to do it earlier, but there was a couple of people posing for a photo in front of it, and obviously I didn't want to film them. Now if you look at this old photo, it's probably taken from about here actually, you'll see a fella stood in front of it. Well, he lived here for a very, very long time. Now there's a bit of a crazy story with him. So I came and did a video on Aqueduct Cottage as well, which again, I'll put the link below. Now he lived with his wife, but his wife turned out to be a little bit cray-cray, and she chucked a pan of boiling water on his head. Which is a problem, isn't it? So there you go, I'm on the arm now. So I'm going to trek down now, the Leewood Arm. Now this bit's still in water, although it is cut off, so it's basically stagnant water now because it's not flowing. But I'm going to follow it. Now the first thing you come to is the Midland Railway. So obviously this arm came along in 1802, which was still, you know, later than the original Cromford Canal, but then it's suddenly getting dissected by the Midland Railway. Now there's just a footbridge, but of course it would have been a canal. So what you've got here, it's amazing really. You've got the aqueduct there, then you've got the River Derwent, then you've got the Midland Railway, which like I say was a double track full-on main line from London to Manchester, and then you've got the Leewood Arm coming down here, and it would have gone over the top, but now, you know, obviously we've just got a little footbridge, but there you can see that's the abutments there for the is it called a trough? It is called a trough, isn't it? It would have been the aqueduct going across there. Oh, mate, it'd be great if a train came, but there was one not that long ago which I missed, so I'm guessing I'm not going to get one. But look how much water's flowing in the Derwent today. And there again you can see That looks kind of newish, doesn't it, that blue brick? They've obviously done a bit of a repairing job, but that stonework's original. And then you've got the tunnel there as well. Now, once you come to the other side, it becomes obvious that it's a canal. Even though there's no water, the walls are a serious clue. There you go, look. Amazing, really, what would have been coming up and down here historically. Because it wasn't just Peter Nightingale's mills and later the Smedley mills that were accessing this part. Of course, a lot of the coal that was coming from the Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire collieries, a lot of it was going to Cromford, and like I say, eventually was going off up into the northwest of the country. But it was also coming down here, because you've got the villages of Lee Bridge, Ryber, Holloway, that would all have been wanting coal, obviously, to heat their homes and stuff, but also to power the mills. So they're taking the goods out of the mills and they're bringing the coal into the mills. But they're also bringing lead. Now, lead is massive in this area, or rather was massive in this area of the Peak District. So there was a lead works a little bit further down from the mills. So this section of the canal went all the way down to the mills, and if you just look at the drone footage, you can see the size of those mills still there, still producing goods. And now beyond that was a lead works. And so I found this photo again from the Friends of the Cromford Canal, amazing organisation, that shows people just down from here loading lead onto the barges of this Lea Wood Arm. Now shortly we'll come to a few houses. Now that's the wharf. It wasn't the original wharf, that was part of the wrangling. Because the Leewood Arm was so long at that point, all the way down into the mill and all the way down into the lead workings, that it was stealing too much water from the Cromford Canal. And so they were really struggling and were trying to then, you know, pump as much water into the canal as possible, hence the Leewood pump house. So to basically stop the argument, it was agreed that, okay, look, you can keep the Leewood Arm open, I get it. I also get it on the Cromford Canal's part, because they're getting money obviously from it as well, so they don't want to get rid of it, but they want it to take less water, so they cut it in half. And so the wharf was literally just down here, which was a bit of a nightmare for the mill and for the lead workers, because they were having to, you know, bring it up on a horse and cart. Now what I'm going to try and do in a minute is recreate this photo from what I think is the exact point. So you've got the railway over there, you've got the River Derwent, and we are on quite, you know, this is the towpath. It's quite a big structured wall there. Now, believe it or not, that's the Cromford Canal. I'm not even sure a duck could go down that. Now look at this little building here. Now this is just a hunch that this is what it is. Now if I kind of come to about here, that's probably about right, isn't it? Let me overlay this photo, because that, just beyond that structure, is the wharf. So you'd have the barge here loading lead, and as you can see, the horse and cart are there as well. Now there was a crane, so let's have a look if there's any sort of footings for that crane. Not seeing any, but obviously, you know, you've got walls, haven't you, and you've got paving. So this is the wharf here. Oh, mate, it'd be great if I found the base of a crane or something. I'm not full of optimism on that front, but there's some water in it, although it is just rainwater, to be fair. So this would have been where, you know, horse and carts are coming, unloading onto barges. Oh, mate, you wouldn't know, would you? Well, you would, because I'm telling you. Now, what's going off here? There's something here, folks. Is that the base of a crane? I'm going with probably. It's something, it's there for a reason. It's round, so you'd have the crane and it would swivel. Crane arm on it. Mate. So what I'll do now is a bit of a blag job. So at the moment I've still got a bit of wall and I've still got a bit of canal, but this is the end of it. As I say, it was truncated and cut short, but I don't know the original alignment, so I'm going to try and work it out. So this would have been where the horse and carts came down. So there it is. There's a brick wall. Now I'm not having it that it's coming across like that, because a barge is going to have to turn. So do you think it's coming round here and down? You've got the river there though, so it would have to cross the river. How easy is that? I'm assuming not very. Right, what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to follow this up. Reason being is this is going to take me to the mill. So in theory, they would want a more direct route, wouldn't they? So you'd hope. Now that wall could have just been built later on to basically go, right, that's the end of it now. And actually all this could well be it. So essentially I could be on it, although I'm walking uphill. Now, I don't know much about water, but I know that, you know, canal barges aren't salmon, so that could be a problem. So I've come up quite a bit. It's down there, isn't it? It's going to follow the contour next to the river, and then it's going to go through there, and if it does that, bosh, straight through there into the mills where those cars are driving. So this will be the Cromford Canal down here, or the Lea Wood Arm of the Cromford Canal, sorry. That's going to be it, innit? Definitely. So that's me, just a short one today. I'm gradually getting through the Cromford Canal though, folks. I love the Cromford Canal. When I first moved here to Derbyshire, you know, I used to get out trekking and stuff. A lot more, to be fair. Before I had kids, you got a lot more spare time, haven't you? And the Cromford Canal was always one of my favourites, so I will complete it. Like I'm doing it in stages, like the Friargate line. I'm doing it in stages. I'll get there in the end. Bear with me. But Aqueduct Cottage is awesome in it, and it's great what work they've done. Like I said earlier, I love, like, volunteers are amazing. They get stuff done, don't they? Like you can ask councils and whatever to, oh, please do this, and volunteers get stuff done. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
How I miss my best friend. He really is the best man. How I miss my best friend.